This lecture is lecture number 5, especially part B. We are learning about CSS tutorial. In the previous lecture, in the part A, we learned about some chapters about CSS tutorial, like this. Here in next lecture, actually, we learned about those chapters until here. Today we learn about these CSS borders. And this one is about the border style. This border style property specifies what kind of border to display. There are several different kinds of border line we can show on our screen with the CSS style. There are several values. Those are allowed for this CSS border style. Dotted. This is defining a dotted border line, and the dashed line. And this is about solid borderline and double borderline and some others. You can refer to others. And this is about the groove borderline and ridge. And we'll look at the borderline after this. Inset and outset. And this one is not using borderline, and with this hidden value we are defining a hidden borderline. In each border line we have 4 values. Think about the rectangle and the top borderline and right borderline, bottom borderline, and the left borderline. Let's look at here. Each element actually it is occupying some area, and that the borderline is related to that area, and depending upon that value here, the property value dotted, first one. Next one is dashed, like this. Dotted, dashed, the solid line. This one is double border line and groove. And you cannot see the tiny difference. And just for reference, you can refer to them. Ridge border and an inset and an outset borderline, you can refer to them. And this one is not using borderline, there's no border. And the borderline is hidden, thus this one is hidden borderline. And we can use mixed borderline. Top borderline, you can see dotted. And the right border, that is dashed, and the solid and the double line. Border left borderline. Okay, you can try others by yourself. In terms of the thickness, we can specify the width of the borderline. And as I mentioned, there are 4 borderlines: top and the right and bottom and the left. Think about the rectangle. And the unit about the width can be used with this pixel, point, centimeter, m. This means alphabet capital M, and so on. Here, border style, solid, and the border width 5 pixel, and the second one is solid medium we will look at, and so on. This one, 5 pixel border width, and the medium border width, and 2 pixel border width, thick border width, that is about this. And you can try anyhow. Here, first one, you can compare left one and right one. They are matched. Border style solid, and border width 5 pixels. And the second one is about the border style is solid, and the border width medium you can use, and you can refer to others. Let's move to the next. This border style is so straightforward, thus you can refer to others by yourself. It is self-explanatory. And the specific side width we can define. One of the 4 border lines we can define respectively. Here, we are using 2 values here. Then there are actually 4 values we need. That then how about the others? Top 5 pixels, and this one is meaning that top and the bottom, those are 5 pixels thickness width. That is not thickness, width, and 20 pixels on the right side and left side. If only 2 values are defined here also, similarly, like that. And if 4 values are being defined here, then each one is corresponding to that top and right and the bottom and the left in that sequence. Also, we can define in the style of the border color, and each border line among 4 border lines we can define respectively, each one by one. Border color, let's look at this example, and if possible with this real example, that may be better. The whole HTML document is like this, and in this HTML file we are using this style that is called inline style, internal style, as we learned here, and those are declared in that style section. And here class 1, class name is 1, that will be used for that, and 2, class 2 is for that, and the third one, class 3. Let's look at what is the class 1 here. Class 1 is about this. Border style solid. Let's look at this one, right side, and the red color. And border style second one is about solid and the green color, and the third one is dotted and blue. That is so straightforward. Let's proceed to the next. Specifically, we can declare each side among 4 values. That means top border, right border, bottom border, and the left border. Among them, we can specify each line respectively. How? In this way. Here, with this real example, the first color, that is about the top borderline, top, like this, that is green, that is red, and the right side, that is green here, and the blue, that is bottom here, and yellow is left. In that sequence, top, right, bottom, left. That should be matched. The sequence, that should be matched. In terms of the color, as we learned already, we can use hexadecimal value Okay, that is so straightforward. The same example, almost, we can apply that color presentation here. Also, HSL value, we can use that. Border size. Let's look at the border individual size. Individually, we can declare. And let's look at the example about the top, right, bottom, and the left. Think, always remember the sequence. Okay, this one is the property name and border top style, dotted, border right style, solid. This is really complicated because this real exact word for the property name that should be remembered, memorized. But at this moment, you don't need to worry about that. We are just learning some concept. Later, if we are using again and again, then we'll get familiar to them. Here, depending upon the declaration here, that is dotted here, and the solid. And the bottom one, that is here dotted, and the left one is solid. Okay, I'll skip others. Please remember that sequence. Depending upon the given values, if the full values are given, then each one, top, right, bottom, left, that will be matched and that will be applied to that style. But if only the 3 values are provided, then this one is explained already, but the top one is dotted and the right one is solid, and bottom one is double, and the left one will be the same to the right side. In the opposite side, they will use the same style. Only 2 values are given here, then top and the bottom will be same, and left side and the right side, that will be solid. And think about the opposite side, they should be in the same style. If 1 value is given, then both sides, those are using the same value. Also, here we can use the shorthand border property. That will be very convenient. As we learned already in the previous example about this shorthand property, similar here we can use that. Then even though that is not, property name is not fully specified here, we can use simply, for example, border property. That is a shorthand property for the following individual border properties, instead of specifying the full name for all of them. And we can simply use this simple word, the simple property name, border, here. Then the values will be enumerated here. Then the thickness is 5 pixels, solid line, and the color will be red, like this. Also, similarly, the others will be same, almost. Okay, you can try others. Rounded borders. We can we can show that rounded corner in that border line, among them, this corner that can be defined to the rounded corner. How? And the rounded corner, that is actually a shape of the circle, and thus we are providing some information about the circle, that means the radius. then we can provide some roundness. This radius is for that. The others are same as we learned, and let's look at this real example. Here, second one, that is rounded. Third one is more rounded. Fourth one is more rounded. And the radius is here different. Here, second one is this. This one is using border radius 5 pixel. To think about the corner, that is related to the circle and an arc of that circle. That is the radius is 5 pixel. Then you can draw some circle here, then a portion of that, and that is the borderline here, and the others are same. 8 pixel, then you can see the more rounded third one. And if we are using 12 pixel, radius is 12 pixel, then that will be more rounded like that. First one, look at that first one, that corner, like this, like this. Okay, you can try other examples, and even those exercises, please try. I may ask in the quiz test, online quiz test, as well as in the online midterm exam. And this one is the summary for that. Let's move to the next. Margins. Here, margin is outside of that element. This is the element. And outside space, empty space, we can provide. That is called margin. CSS margin is defined here. The CSS margin properties are used to create space around elements outside of undefined borders. And also similarly, we have 4 sides: top side, right side, bottom side, left side. We can give individually or respectively the margin, each margin. Or we can provide the margin or margins at the same time, and individually or also respectively we can provide that margin. And we can specify each side that is called margin top, margin right, margin bottom, margin left. Also that the sequence is always same. Always top is first, top, right, bottom, left in the sequence, like the circular direction, clockwise direction. Here, margin top 100 pixel and the bottom 100 pixel. Okay, let's look at this. Here, this is the margin for that. Depending upon the screen size, some marginal value may be meaningless because the actual space is dominating that margin. But the effective margin is applied from top first, and this right side and bottom like that. Okay, you can report to them. Okay, let's move to the next. Also, we can use the shorthand property like others. That is very convenient way. Instead of fully specifying the property name, we can simply use this simple word, margin property name. Then, like this, margin, and each side we can provide the value. Like this. In that case, please keep in mind the sequence is always clockwise from top, right, bottom, left, in that clockwise direction. Okay, the others are same, and even though the 3 values are provided, conceptually those are applied similarly as we learned already. And the 2 values applied, then top and bottom, the opposite side, those are using the same style value, property value. Sometimes we may use author. we can set the margin property to auto to horizontally center the element within its container. Then that element will then take up the specified width, and the remaining space will be split equally between the left and the right margins, because this is auto. Margin is auto. Then here width is 300 pixel. That is about this div element. That is this one is div element. This one. Margin is outside of that element. And border about that element, div element, the thickness is 1 pixel, solid line, and the red color. The outside is, you can see, left side and right side, those are using the equal space, equal margin, because that is auto. Bottom one is because of that actual space of that window is the limit is being used. There's the top margin will be used, and the others will be depending upon the remaining space. There's left and right. You can see those are using equal marginal value. And the inherit value, this one is about the inheritance from the parent element, and you can refer to that. That will be inherited. Margin left, that will be inherited from here. Margin collapse. Top and bottom margins of elements are sometimes collapsed into a single margin that is equal to the largest of the two margins. Think about this example. Margin collapse. Okay, let's look at this example. Here, if possible, it's this real example. Here, H1 is using their margin and their property values top, right, bottom, left. Here, H2. This one is H1, right side. Let's look at out right side. And this one is, bottom one is H2. And following, okay. This one, H1, H2. Previous one, that is about paragraph P. And we are concerning only that the H1 and the H2 because we are learning about the margin collapse. How that collapse is happening here. That is, as explained here, let's look at again here. Top and bottom margins of elements are sometimes collapsed into a single margin that is equal to the largest of the two margins. Those are applied only to the top and the bottom margins, and those are not applied. It is not happening on left and right margins. There's this one is bottom and this one is top. Among them, let's look at again here. This size, this margin, that is 50 pixel, and this one is 20 pixel. Thus, 50 pixel margin bottom one here, and the top margin 20 pixel. If those are added up together, then that should be 70 pixel, but actual margin is 50 pixel because that is collapsed. Second one is that is meaningless. Among them, here bottom one, here top one, among them, among two, top for that and bottom for that element, the margin among those two values, the largest one will be applied. The 50 pixel that will be applied. Let's change this one. Instead of 10 pixel, how about change it to 70 pixel? Then a little bit, slightly, that the margin will be increased like this. 20 pixel increased because of this 70 pixel is dominating value. Okay, that is the about this margin collapse. You can try other exercises by yourself. Okay, let's move to next. Next one is very similar to the previous margin. Margin is outside of that element. That is about that. But padding is like your padding jacket. Inside of that element, like padding jacket. This is padding. Inside of that element. The some space we can provide, that is called padding. We can provide similarly each side, as we learned already, that this clockwise direction, top, right, bottom, and left. And each individual property names are like here. But also we can use the shorthand property instead of the fully specified property names. It will be more convenient. That is about the shorthand property, padding. Here, similarly, simply we can use this shorthand property, this property name, just padding, and we can enumerate. And those values are matched to each side, and that is conceptually same. First one is top, second one right side, and the third one is bottom, and the last one is about the left. Here, let's look at this real example. Here, inside, look at that inside. That is about the padding. Inside, padding is 25 pixels here, and top, and the right side is 50 pixel, and the bottom one is 100 pixel, and the left one is left one is 100 pixel, bottom one is 75 pixel. You can try. You can change also. You can try. Increase or decrease. You can try. In this way, you can provide some padding space. And also, depending upon the number of values that will be applied similarly, as we learned already, the opposite side should have the same values. If one value is missing, then you can apply similarly. Okay, this one is about the padding and element width. The CSS width property specifies the width of the element's content area. The content area is the portion inside the padding, border, and the margin of an element. So if an element has a specified width, the padding added to that element will be added to the total width of the element. And this is often undesirable result. Think about this case. Here, div element is given a width of 300 pixels like this. But the actual width of the div element will be increased more than that because of that padding. For this padding, if we are considering the left side and the right side, then that is 2 times of that value. Then actual size will be like this, 350. Left padding and right padding, like this. Let's look at. Okay, style defined here, declared here, and this is the class EX1. Second one is class EX2. First one here, and second one, this one, And let's look at this EX1 class, how that is declared. Width is 300 pixel, background color yellow, like this. A second one, width is 300 pixel, like this. But padding, 25 pixel. Because of that, even though two div elements are using the same width, 300 pixel, the actual width is different. They are different. Because that is second one is increased because of that padding. First one is using the padding value 0. There's no additional increment. But here, second one is the width is increased because of that padding size, 2 times of that value, 350. This is 50 pixels difference. There's probably later we may learn about that, because that is very important. Because in terms of design, the size is so important. That should be unified. But sometimes, depending upon the padding value, that may be increased or a little bit changed. There's to keep the width at 300 pixels, no matter the amount of padding. We can use the box sizing property. Then we can unify the width with the same size for each element. If we are using this box sizing property, how that can be used here? Use the box sizing property to keep the width at 300 pixels. It's the same example, but we are using box sizing, and the value is property name is box sizing, and property value is border box. And here, let's look at again the same one. And in terms of design, those are same, right? And in terms of design, that may be better than previous example. How that can be possible? We are using here, even though the others are exactly the same except this box sizing. We just intentionally put in this box sizing property and property value. Second one, box sizing. Even though there is padding size here, that will be neglected, and the width will be effective. The whole width, 300 pixels. To control that in that way, we should use that property and property value. Box sizing, that should be border box. Then even though that padding value is different, if that is 0, it doesn't matter. Same. The width, think about only that width. And how about the 100? Still same, right? And the other higher, the top side and the bottom side, that may be the padding area maybe, and also this padding, but the eventual width, final width, that will be same. Thus, in terms of design, it will be better. And yeah, we'll learn about that in this box sizing chapter later. That was introduced in advance. Here's height and width. In terms of design, always that dimension is important. Height and width, also width, height and width. Let's think about this. Element has a width of 100. Here, 100 width. In terms, comparing to that the browser window screen, that is the full size. If that is full size, then that is 100%. That is the reference in terms of the size, width. Okay, you can try. If that is the whole area, then that is 100%. If you are increasing a little bit, then you can see that is increased, because that width is declared here 100%. That is 100% here. Also, this one is 100%. Then this being increased automatically, because it is satisfying the value, property value, 100%. CSS height and width values we can use. percent like our previous example. Also absolute value, pixel, centimeter, and auto. Also this one is the default, and the browser calculates the height and width automatically. Also inherited, that will be possible from the parent value. Height and width example here. This element has a height of 200 pixels, that is absolute value, 200 pixels, and width of 50 pixels relatively to the window size, that is occupying the 50% of that whole width. Like this. This example, if this one is the whole area, then only 50% will be occupied, like this. If we are using that property value 50%. Let's think about the 10%. Then how that will be changed, like this, 10%. This is 100%. 50% is like that. 20% is like that. And height is 200 pixels. That is absolute value. Let's try to decrease a little bit, 100 pixels instead of 200 pixels. Then you can see the shortened size. Okay, similarly, you can refer to others. And also we can use this max width. As the property name is meaning, they're self-explaining. This max width property is used to set the maximum use of an element. Maximum use. Let's look at this real example. Here, maximum use, 500 pixels. 500 pixels, that is absolute value. That is the maximum. Thus, even though this is being increased, that is not being increased anymore, because that is satisfying that the property value, 500 pixels. That is the maximum use. If that is being shrunken like this, if that is shrinking like this, then you can see that will be shrinking also. But if that is increased, but the maximum width is declared here, 500 pixels, thus that is not being increased anymore. That is not being enlarged anymore. 500 pixels, that is the maximum width. Okay, let's move to next. Okay, CSS box model. All HTML elements can be considered as boxes, even though there is no borderline. All HTML elements is a kind of box, and thus we can think and we can consider that element as boxes. In CSS, the term box model is used when talking about design and layout. In terms of design and layout, that box model is important because that is occupying some area. And also that is related to some design. Let's read this one first. The CSS box model is essentially a box that wraps around every HTML element. It consists of margins, as we learned, and the borders, as we learned, and the padding, as we learned, and the actual content. The image below illustrates the box model. Thus, this is called the box model. Depending upon the value for each, the size will be changed. And we should consider in terms of design. Also, in terms of the design, other color, thickness, and the borderline style, and some content and the padding area, all values are related to the design. And we should consider. Let's look at this real example that may be better for understanding. Here, div is declared here in terms of style. Actual div is here, element, and this is content, actual content. And depending upon the style declaration here, background color, width, and the border thickness, and color type, and the padding, and outside margin, those can be declared here. Thus you can think this one is box, thus this is called box model. Width and height of an element. Thus, to understand how that can be shown on the screen, in order to see the width and height of an element correctly in all browsers, we need to understand, we need to know how the box model works. When we set the width and height properties of an element with the CSS, we just set the width and height of the content area. And to calculate the per size of an element, we must also add padding, borders, and margins in terms of design. Those considerations very important. Here, even though the actual width of the div is 320 pixel, if we are adding up together the padding area and the margin area, even though this value is 0, those should be added together. And borders, even the border thickness. And always we should think about the two sides, top, bottom, and the left, right. Thus, in terms of design, width, left and the right side, border thickness, that should be added together. Also padding, thus twice of each one, 20 pixel and 10 pixel. The 30 pixel should be added. Thus, the eventual total width will be, final width will be 350. Let's look at this real example. Here, even though this div here, 320, here, 320, and here the width of this image, that is 350. And you can think about that. Those are aligned together, even though that is 320. Because of the other size, border thickness, and the padding size, those are added up together. Eventually, those are in the same size. If we are considering to use the same width like this image width 350, then the result will be different, like this. And that because of that additional size of that padding as well as this borderline, that is increased like this. Thus, in terms of design, that is very important to consider the final size, considering that the padding and the border, and if there is some margin value, then we should consider together. And this one is calculated how. You can try others. Here's the outline. Outline is, as the name is meaning, it is self-explanatory, outside, self-explaining. That is outline. Outline also in terms of design, there are different styles. For example, outline properties, depending upon the property names, outline style, outline color, outline width, outline offset, outline. Also, we can use the shorthand property here. This is very similar to the previous borderline style property. You can refer to them. But this one is, instead of border, This one is outline. Like this. Outside. Outline. Okay, individually we can see each property names, the outline related with, outline with. Style, color, width, we can apply here about the outline. Also, about the outline color, we can specify in that declaration part, in the style declaration. Outline style, solid color, like that. And also in terms of the color, we can use the color presentation in the same way as we learned. Also HSL value. Sometimes we may use this invert, that is invert, different, inverting the color. To ensure that the outline is invisible regardless of that color background. If that colors are using the same color with this color background, then we cannot differentiate. That will be better to invert. In that case, we can use this outline color invert. You can try here. Okay, if this one is missing, let's try to eliminate here, cut and learn. Okay, this one is not showing the proper result. You can try. Okay, let's move to the next. Next one is about shorthand, outline shorthand. Always the shorthand property is very similar to each other. Just a simple property name due to some property enumerated property values. Then we can apply different properties simply. Outline offset. This property adds space between an outline and an edge or border of an element. The space between an element and this outline is transparent. This paragraph has an outline 15 pixels outside the border edge. You can try with the different value. Instead of 15 pixels, how about 0? Then you can compare and you can see the difference like this. If you are increasing a little bit instead of that number, small number, then you can see the slight difference that is affecting. This one is affecting that. You can try other exercises. Okay, this one is about CSS text. This one is text, about text formatting and text color and color presentation. We are using the same method to show the color. you can refer to these CSS color values. And we learned several times, thus it is so straightforward. Also, background color we can declare here as a property value, property name, and property value here. In terms of text alignment, that is a kind of important characteristic in terms of the text design, text align. Alignment that can be centered or left or right or both sides. Those should be aligned, then we can use this justify, then it is aligned in both sides, left and right. Like this, both sides. Justify. It is called justify. The value is justify. Text direction, that is not very important, but this one is being used here. There's even though we learned briefly in the previous HTML tutorial, probably right to left. Direction is right to left. Then that is in different direction. This, from this right to left, that direction is different to show that text from the beginning to the end. Also, vertical alignment property that is being shown here in terms of the text design alignment. Vertical line, top, middle, bottom is like that. Here, let's try to enlarge a little bit. Okay, comparing to that image that is vertically let's look at this one. Image class. Okay, here image middle. First one, image top. Image here, this one is higher than this. Image is the top alignment. Second one is here, middle. Third one is here, bottom. Actually, this one is for the top alignment, and the first one, that is a default alignment. That is, think about that text. That is aligned vertically on the bottom. That is default. Then comparing to that, the image seems to be higher than that, and but we should focus on that text, and that is default, the bottom aligned, vertically aligned at the bottom. There's the top. If we are using the, okay, this one is default, this one is top, then this one is on the top, like this, and the top side of the image, and the middle, vertically middle, and vertically bottom, that is aligned. That is about the vertical alignment. In terms of the text, you can refer to others. Also, text decoration, how to decorate. That is not so beautiful decoration. Let's think about this one first. Text decoration none. If that is eliminated here, then default will be shown here. Okay, that is default. This is decorated, not beautiful decoration, but that is called decoration. Default is decorating like this. If that is hyperlinked, then underline, that will be shown here. That is decorated. If we want to remove, then we should use this one. Not this one. Let's go back to the previous one. Wrong one was copied it here, and yeah, here. None. Text decoration none. You cannot see the underline. That is decorated one, and that is not using that decoration because we declared here text decoration should be none. Okay, other values for that text decoration property. Property values are overline, line through, underline. You can see overline, line through. That is called line through, and this is underline. Text transformation. Sometimes this transformation is like this, from lowercase to uppercase, from uppercase to lowercase, like that. That is called text transform. So simple. Text spacing. When that is starting the text string, and before that is called indentation. How much the space should be inserted, that is called indentation. And this text indent property name is used to specify the indentation of the first line of a text, like this, 50 pixel. Then this 50 pixel here, just before that beginning of that text line. Okay, let's think about 0 pixel. Then what's going on here? Yeah, this is using 0 indentation. How about 2 pixel? If we are changing, then you can see there's some slight pushing to the right side. That space is 2 pixel. That is indentation. Letter spacing. Between the letter, we can provide some space, and okay, this one. Even the negative value we can provide, then that will be overlapped like this. -3 pixel, then that is overlapped. Okay, to overlap more, you can increase the value, then minus, like this, overlapped. We cannot see, so ugly design. And that's just for reference, how to use this one and how the value is affecting that. Letter spacing 3 pixel. How about 0 pixel? Yeah, 0 pixel is like this. Line height. Also, line height we can control. Between lines, line space between lines, we can provide some space. If line height is 0.7 and 1.8, and depending upon that, first one is class. Okay, first one is using default value. The default line height in most browsers is about 110% to 110%. This one is about that. And second one is small. That is using line height 0.7. And the third one, this one is using line height 1.8. Then let's use 1.0. Then how that can be changed. Yeah, this one is 1.0. Word spacing, even between the word. Previous case was between the character. We learned a little bit about that. Between each character, we can provide some space, but between word, each word between them, between words, we can provide some space here. This is one word. This is another word between them. Or heading, another word between them. We can provide 10 pixel here. How about 0 pixel? It's like that. And even the negative value can be used, but that is just for reference in terms of design. That is not recommendable at all. Then that will be overlap. That is so intimate. They are compressed in terms of the width. Okay, you can try others. Okay, this is good point to wrap up, and we'll continue this one next.